Welcome back for another Waterfowl Wednesday, and today I'm going to be giving you some tips for late season hunting. So the late season can get pretty difficult for both ducks and geese. It's the time of year when birds kind of get a little decoy shy and they've been shot at all season long, and things can get pretty difficult. I know there's some controversy as to whether birds actually get decoy shy or not, but I'm kind of a firm believer in it. But whether or not it's true or not, I don't know. The birds just kind of get educated, and they're weary of decoy spreads and hunters. There's a few things you can do to give yourself better chances of success in the late season, and I'm gonna basically be spending this video giving you guys some tips, and hopefully you guys can take them and kill some more birds in the late season. The number one thing in late season, especially with ducks, is to ease off the calling. You don't need to call at the birds a whole lot, because generally by January I've noticed the birds really don't care about your calling as much as they do in the early season. You know, early season, the migration is just starting, the birds are fresh, they haven't been shot at for 3 months straight. The birds like the calling. You hit a comeback call, they'll come turn back around right away. You hit a greeting call, they'll lock up and come right in. But in the late season, things can be a little more difficult. They get a little call shy, and they know what's up. They've been called at for 3 months straight, and they've heard every different type of calling there is out there. So one thing that you can do is just back off the calling in the late season. I've had times where I just don't even call. I just let my decoys do all the work and rely on being on the spot where they want to be, make the decoy spread look really good, and just give them a little bit of calling to just kind of give them a little confidence. You know, just a greeting call, some quacks, maybe some feeders here and there. But you're not going to be giving them a greeting call, then feed, quack, quack, feed, you know, like you would in the early season. You're just going to give them a greeting call and let them do it, and call them on the corners. They turn away, hit that comeback call, see what they do. If they come back off again, just some quacks, and just watch the birds, and the birds will generally tell you what they want. But don't be highballing at the birds and giving them all that you've got in January. That's great in November, but in January, it can kind of be shooting yourself in the foot. The second tip I can give you guys is to add a jerk cord to your spread if you're hunting over water. Jerk cords are awesome, and they work all season long, and you can never go wrong with carrying one in your bag. You just hook a few decoys to it, you're pulling the string, it's moving water, it's moving the decoys, it makes everything look more natural to the birds, and that's key in late season because, like I said earlier, the birds have seen everything. They've been hunted for 3 months straight, and so if you just add movement into your spread, make things look natural, get the water rippling, it's going to look great and the birds are going to dig it. My third tip, and this is a big one, is pull the mojos, especially over water. In fields, you can probably let it fly because I've never seen a duck not like a mojo in a field. Come about December for me is when I pull the mojos, and I don't really even put them in the decoy spread over water. And mojos, they're great in early season, but come late season, they're going to be flaring birds because every time those birds see those wings flipping and they go into them, they get shot at. So the birds, they're smart. They learn things along the way. So over water, I'd say to pull the mojos and really just rely on your decoys and be in the right spot. That is going to be key for your success. Number 4 is a pretty big one, and that's making sure you have the proper amount of cover. If you don't have enough cover, those birds are going to see you. Come late season, those birds are looking for anything out of the ordinary because they've been shot at so many times. They've learned things along their way from their trip south. So make sure you're concealed and get stubble on every strap in your layout blind. If you're hunting over water and you make a blind out of brush, make it a little tighter than you normally would. Make it so then you have less of a chance of those birds seeing you. Keep your heads down, get really camoed up, and just do everything you can possibly do to make it so then the birds can't see you. A lot of things can slide in the early season, but come late season, you really have to be particular about things and make sure you're doing everything you possibly can to stay concealed. And concealment is key when it comes to duck hunting. So number 5 is making your spread more realistic. And one thing you can do is when you scout, watch the birds. See how the birds are in the fields or how they're sitting on ponds or in marshes and everything like that. Just watch them. See what looks natural to the birds and what they see on a daily basis, and try and mimic that the day that you hunt. The second thing that you can do to make your spread look more realistic is to use motion stakes on your decoys. A lot of decoys these days do have motion stakes, but some don't. And if you have decoys that don't have motion stakes, something that we did was we had about a dozen Canada socks, and we just kind of mixed those in with the full bodies, and that added just a little bit of motion to the spread and made it look a little more realistic. And I mean, let me know what you guys do in the comments to make your spread look more realistic. So I'm always open to hearing more things and learning more things. So use that comment section down there to help teach others that will look in there, or teach me so I learn some more things to have more successful hunts. It's kind of a two-way street here. The last tip that I can give you guys is to not be afraid to change things up when you're in the field. If the birds are skirting you or they're landing short, take some time to really evaluate everything that's going on. Check your cover, check your decoys. If the birds are landing short, adjust your decoys a little bit so then they'll have more of an inviting look to come in and come to that kill zone. And same thing goes for wind direction change. With the wind changing direction, you can really be preventative of that if you look at the weather report for the day that you're hunting. And let's say it's at 6 o'clock, it's a north wind, but by 7:30, it's going to be an east wind. I would say to set up kind of in the middle there, so then you have a pretty maneuverable situation there. Move the blinds, move the decoys, just do everything you can to make it so then the birds will want to come in there. Don't just set your decoys one way and say, oh, these birds just didn't do it. There's no reason why. They just didn't want to come in here. Do your best to adjust it so then the birds will come in. If you guys have any tips for hunting late season birds, go ahead and leave it in the comments. I'd love to read them, and I'm sure other people would too. Let's make this kind of a space to where we can learn from one another. Follow me on my social media. I've got Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. Follow me on there and stay up to date with what's going on. But that is all I've got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you on the next one.